I think in the first 100 days, influencing economic policy is largely about connecting to the parts of the government that do economic policy, the National Economic Council at the White House, the Treasury Department, the U.S. Trade Rep's office, the Commerce Department, and to, again, meet the new officials that are coming in as part of a new administration to understand what they've articulated as their priorities and to begin to engage them in a conversation about how all that might get unfurled as a new administration creates its first budget, as it thinks about what its legislative priorities want to be in the first year of a new presidency.
As some people often say in Washington, people are policy. So I think a lot of companies need to pay close attention to who are some of the senior people that end up in big roles, particularly in the White House. You know, whether that's Secretary of Treasury or Secretary of Commerce, Health and Human Services. So I think there'll be a lot of palace intrigue around that. Once all of those seats are filled and the musical chairs ends, then I think the focus really turns to companies understanding how their business strategies align with some of the political and regulatory battles that are happening here in Washington. I think the first 100 days of a Trump administration will really be focused on people kind of figuring out who the influencers are and who the people are that are going to end up in positions of power in the administration. If you look at what's happened before the election, none of the Fortune 500 companies' CEOs have come out in support of Donald Trump, and so there's not as much engagement between the business community and the Trump administration as you might expect in a normal post-presidency election dynamic.
I think it's important for financial services companies to be out there and be seen as partners with the government, to be speaking publicly about the positive benefits that they bring to the economy, and really be talking about some of the good things that financial services firms, especially banks, do. I think the industry has been living with their heads tucked down a bit, and it may be too soon to really kind of boast about their prowess, but I think just being seen as important to the economy, the grease that makes the economy run, really talking about how people need banks and the importance of banks, because I think a lot of that gets lost. And if you're not out there and you're not making your case, you know, there's not going to be anybody defending you, and you'll wind up being in a worse position. So it's not being defensive, it's more being on the offensive and talking about the good that banks do, how you want to partner with the government, you want to have a positive impact on the economy and on customers' lives.
So our clients should really be thinking not only about what happens after a president takes the oath of office in January, but what happens the day after the election. There's a transition planning that's well underway today. And policy that will matter in 2017 is actually in some instances being decided today. So thinking about trade policy, TPP, thinking about immigration and how that would affect H-1B visas for our tech clients, thinking about tax reform and tax inversions and what that means for our financial clients, and also thinking about the regulatory space and how a President Trump would look at the kind of consolidation we're seeing across a bunch of different industries. Those sorts of questions and issues are already being considered by a transition team that's been appointed for a Trump administration.